Good morning and welcome to Everyday Sunday. My name is Samantha and I'm excited to be joining you again for another episode. Today I have a very important question to ask you because it's just on my mind. Do you ever have these memories pop up on your Facebook that you are totally embarrassed about? You're like, why did I post that? Why did I feel the need to share that? And it is so silly or embarrassing today. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna delete that memory so it doesn't keep popping up every year embarrassing me. Well, that happens to me all the time. But today I actually had a memory pop up that I thought was so on point, was so good that I had to share it with you today. So it was a quote by Rick Warren and it says this: people who don't know their purpose try to do too much, and that causes stress, fatigue, and conflict. Proverbs 13:7 says this: a pretentious, showy life is an empty life, and a plain and simple life is a full life. So let's break it down real simple. So 3 things that not knowing our purpose in life causes. Number 1, it causes stress, it causes fatigue, and it causes conflict. Stress. Talking about stress, this Sunday, my husband and I were asked to preach at the ARAB campus while Pastor Keith was out of town. And we talked a lot about financial stress in our message. But one thing that we learned was that it's medically proven that stress causes a whole bunch of bad things in our life. It causes insomnia. It causes heart problems. It causes all these things, migraines, overeating, all these things, that it's medically proven that stress is what causes them. And so if we don't know our purpose in life, then the stress of that produces all those bad things. So if we don't know our purpose, it's going to cause stress. And then the stress is going to cause all of these bad things. The list is so long you could Google it. So then we've got fatigue. So fatigue is it's being tired all the time. It's being worn out, looking ahead at our week and already being exhausted, and we haven't even started it yet. That's what happens when we don't know our purpose, because when we do know our purpose, we wake up with excitement. We wake up with fuel, like we're ready to go because we are ready to do what God has called us to do. That's what happens when we're living our life, living the purpose that God has called us to do, whether that is ministry or just being the mom or the dad that God has called us to be, being the student that God has called us to be. Living with purpose gives us energy. So when we don't have purpose, we're fatigued. And then number 3, conflict. Conflict is never fun, but it's inevitable sometimes. But the conflict that is the least amount of fun is the unnecessary conflict. And not knowing our purpose in life is going to cause unnecessary conflict. There are some conflict that ultimately lead us closer to the purpose and the person that God has called us to be. But I don't know about you, I don't need any unnecessary conflict. And that's what happens when we don't know our purpose in life. We are searching, we are looking here and there, we're trying to fill a void because we don't know the purpose of our life. And I don't need that conflict in my life. So I'll read the quote again. People who don't know their purpose try to do too much, and that causes stress, fatigue, and conflict. I remember when I did not know my purpose in life, and I would try to do too much. I was serving in a few different ministries in our church. I was running the media for the 8 o'clock service at our ARAB campus, and I was doing the nursery at Celebrate Recovery every week, and then I was serving in the youth ministry and doing a few other things, as well as working my regular job, which was McDonald's at the time. And I remember being so unfulfilled. I was stressed because I just had a lot on my plate at the time. And at that time, someone I respect and looked up to said, you know, out of those things that you're doing, what are you the most excited about? Because I was confiding in them, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in my life. I'm just kind of walking around aimlessly. I'm doing all these things, but I'm unfulfilled. And they simply said, what are you most excited about? Out of those things that you're doing, which one gives you the most excitement? And I'll be honest, in that moment, I had no clue because I was overwhelmed. I was stressed. I was fatigued. I didn't know. And so they asked me, just simply describe, tell me in detail you know, what you're doing. What are you doing in the youth? What are you doing with the media? What are you doing with the nursery? What are you doing with your personal time? And after that conversation, they said, well, to me, it sounds like you're the most excited about youth ministry. Just the way that you talk about it, the things that you're doing, that's what it sounds like. And so after that conversation, I started to slowly step away from all the extra things that I was doing and to focus more on youth ministry. And years later, after that conversation, me and my husband were set in as the youth pastors at our Arab campus. And so I know that that wouldn't have happened had I kept doing all the things. You know, I know that I was doing too much and God was calling me to focus in so I could be more excellent in one area. And so my challenge for you today is to ask yourself that question. What are you most excited about in life? Because if you don't know your purpose, that's probably a good place to start. What are you most excited about? What is the desire that God has put in your heart? What gets you excited to get up in the morning? So Proverbs 13:7, I'll read it again. A pretentious, showy life is an empty life. A plain and simple life is a full life. So my challenge for you today, just remember that a plain and simple life is a full life. So find what is making you excited, focus on that.